Hi stamping friends. One of the cards that you're making in September is this one. So I wanted to go over a few things with you. First of all, we're using the Traveler stamp set. Really cute, got some fun pieces in there. The other thing that we're going to use is the Project Life Remember This. It had some really fun things in there, especially Adventure Bound. So this one really screamed using that this month. The other one that screamed using it is the world map. And I know that several of you have this, so I hope I can inspire you in other ways to use it this month. In the kit, you're going to receive your cardstock that has been pre-scored. Then you're going to receive these little squares, and that's going to be used to stamping the little suitcase. And then you're going to receive a piece of Very Vanilla and Espresso. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about these two pieces. Make sure when you line them up, see how that doesn't work? Before you start stamping, make sure that you line it up to where this is centered. And the measurements are on the video as to what the measurements are of this cardstock. All right. So the other thing that you're going to be using are the little circles that I have pre-cut for you. So I'm going to get one of each of those. And these circles were cut using the Framelits Stampin' Up! Circles. Okay, so I've already pre-cut those, and you're just going to be doing the stamping directly on there. So let's go ahead and get started with stamping of the ship. And I am using block E for this, and I'm using Early Espresso ink. I like to ink up my stamps upside down. I don't know, I feel like I have more control over that. And I'm just going to stamp straight down, and it's going to stick. So lift it off. Now, if you'll notice, I have a bit of trash right there. So don't forget, our cardstock has two pieces. And usually when I ink upside down, I don't get that as much. So I'm going to go back and do that a little bit more light-handed, not be so heavy-handed with my inking. All right, so stamp straight down, lift straight up. There, that's better. If you'll notice, I don't have my label on my stamp. I'm finding that my blocks stick better out here where I live now if I don't use those, but you can certainly do that if you want. Okay, so I'm going to be using Bermuda Bay and a sponge, and I want to give some water. Our ship has to be in some water, and I'm doing this very heavily as far as the bottom goes because I feel like it's got to have lots of watercolor there. The other tools that you're going to get in the kit this month are Q-tips. I figured out that in coloring these stamps that if I just roll the Q-tip on there, then I can just give a little touch of color where I want it. And I'm not being perfect when I do this. I just want it to have a little spot of color. And then I'm going to take the other Q-tip and roll it, and then color the little ship. Just a little bit more color. It had some on there, but I just felt like I needed to do more. So just kind of coloring that in, and there you go. All right, so I also felt like the edges, whoops, needed a little bit of sponging around as well. Okay, so there you have it. All right, there's that piece. Now, for the second part of the stamping, I want to go back to these two pieces, and I have lined mine up correctly, so I know that this is the way I want to stamp. And I'm going to use the world map stamp. Oh, let me show you a trick I just learned. Okay, sometimes these cases are really hard to open. There's a little tab. I don't know if you can see it right there. If you push on that tab, it opens so much easier. Isn't that awesome? I just love learning new things, don't you? Okay, so I'm going to put my stamp facing up, and I'm going to ink it up this way. And then just double checking myself, making sure that I have it that way, and I do. I'm just gonna lay that on there, and I'm just rubbing it with my fingers, like that. I'm upside down stamping. Okay, so ta-da, I have my world map done. And I decided that it needed a little bit of light color. I mean, can you see how lightly I'm doing that? I am not being heavy-handed at all. A little bit more of the blue, just a little color, just needed a little bit, okay? If you wanted to, you could do some coloring, some sponging around the edge, just to give it a darker look. Okay, so now that piece is done. And so now I want to begin assembling. So I'm going to put some snail on the back of my Very Vanilla, and then line that up right there. Okay, push that down. And then I have this round circle piece. I used the paper piercing mat and a paper piercer to poke 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And those can just be random. Don't stress about where to put them. Make sure you put that back up so somebody doesn't stab themselves. And then I'm using the mini brads from Stampin' Up. And these are a little, very tiny. So when you put them in, make sure that you have the brad going that way, otherwise it'll be sticking out. So make sure that you turn that. When you put the adhesive on, you'll be fine, but just make sure you do that. One more. Whoops. Okay. Turn those around, make sure they're all, and I'm going to use some dimensionals. I'm going to put the dimensionals on the back. No, actually on this one, yes I did. I'm trying to think, what did I do? All right, so we're going to put some dimensionals on the back. I just put 3. Take those off. All right, then this just centers right in there. So notice how I have my brads, but just in case, I've got a little bit of a lift there with the dimensional, so it's all good. All right, so let's assemble our card. And I need a piece of Very Vanilla. Use my snail. To attach. Just going to put this towards the top. Okay. And then I'm going to use the snail on the back of this as well. And just make sure those little brads are turned. I haven't had it move once I get it on there, so you should be fine. Okay, so we have that on there. All right, and then we're using the word lucky from the, remember this, because you're lucky that you get to go. And I decided that it wasn't worth stressing, so I just did it crooked. All right, so the final piece of stamping that you're gonna have to do is the little suitcase. And that's what that square piece was for. And then we're going to trim that out. And I much rather have framelits or a punch to cut this kind of stuff out. But this one wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. So don't stress about cutting with the snips. Just turn your paper and trim it out. There we go. All right, we're going to use our little Q-tips again to do a little bit of coloring. Just a little bit, just to give it a little pop of color. Q-tips worked really well for this. I really brainstormed as to what could I use, and so I just decided that the Q-tips was the best. All right, so some of our labels are a little bit darker, and then we're going to put this on our card also with dimensionals. Dig your fingernail in there even when you don't have them like I don't, and then just put that on there. And there you go. What a lucky person who gets to go on a cruise. All right, thanks for stopping by.